Hello everyone and welcome back to Packs and Recreation. And today we're going back to the past on Bundlemania because we're going to be reviewing and opening the last bundle from the last core set, Core 2021. Now, in case you are young or you don't remember, Magic the Gathering used to have a division between core sets and expansion sets. And yes, bear in mind that saying core set this much, it starts to sound like core set, which is a garment, but regardless, there is technically still that distinction in place, even though the only thing that is close to a core set is foundations, but technically it's not. So the last core set is Core Set 2021, therefore making this the last bundle. Before this, so up to before Core 2019, we had Magic Origins, which ironically I think has the set logo here. We had Magic Origins, and then before that we had what was just called Magic and the Year. So Magic 2019, Magic 15, Magic 14, etc. So we were without core sets for a while as well, because Magic Origins was released like 2015. So we had Magic Origins for a while, and then we restarted again with the core set, and then they gave up on that, and now we have Foundations. So before that, the sets were called like Magic 13, Magic 11. Those were the core sets, and before that, they were called 9th edition, 4th edition. This is not the logo for GTA 4 people. 3rd edition, 1st edition, etc., etc., etc. So this is actually a very important piece of Magic the Gathering history, and we're going to open it up just to see how it goes. I mean, it's by no means is the most valuable or the most rare core set. Even more if you consider that, well, just on the premise that is the most recent one, obviously is the one that more people have access to, and is the one that more people remember. But there is always, and this is one of the reasons why I like doing Bundlemania, there is always a sort of melancholic aspect to opening the last dinosaurs of an era, right? So this is the last core set, which, it wasn't that long ago, 2021, but if you really stop to think, some time has passed. So yeah, we are old people. So Core 2021, the usual packaging. Your opponents are history, and so is this set. Core Set 2021 is the perfect place to dive into Magic or power up your collection. Call upon Planeswalkers and their powerful spells, learn more about the life and times of Teferi, and score reprints of some of Magic's most iconic cards. Time is on your side. And yes, the whole thing with this set was Teferi, and in previous iterations of core sets like Magic Origins was like the 5 main Planeswalkers and their origin stories, and then like Magic 14, Magic 13, they all had like a Planeswalker like as a forefront character, I guess, which was very cool because, well, it gave us more insights about characters and whatnot. So we get the usuals for a bundle. We get an alternative art premium foil, pack leader, 20 premium foil and 20 regular cards. We get 15 card core set booster packs. So we're going back to the point that there is no set boosters or draft boosters anymore. It's just booster packs. If you remember the last one we opened, it was draft packs. So we're going back just enough, people. Then 2 reference cards, because this is very important, a Core Set 2021 card box, and a special oversized spin down life counter. So let me just remove the stuff, and we have both. I have a lot of things that we no longer have in here. So let's see the insert in a second, but remember this. A lot of people don't anymore because this no longer exists. The cardboard cover up that had these boogers in here that were always very fun to play with. And this is the type that just had like small boogers. Some of them had like a very long booger over here. And I mean, you can't tell me I am the only person that always enjoyed playing with this a little bit. Like, you know, you pull it out, you play with it, you just play with it in your hand and whatnot. And then when it gets too dirty, you just throw it away. But, you know, small pleasures. Life is full of small pleasures. If you are collecting old stuff and opening it, like I'm doing here, I guess you may be like, well, can you please stop removing the boogers? But it's important that you remove them ASAP because those things actually stain the cardboard. So the more you know. A great illustration of Teferi, which is the illustration that is actually on the box on the other side as well. Some people use these as posters, some people use them as whatever, some people cut them and make, I don't know, deck boxes, bookmarks, whatever. It's something that is dead. Like, we no longer have this, even though it's really not useful, and I guess that's why they cut it, and because it saves them time and money. But, you know, it was always nice to look at, and sometimes I use this as a shield for D&D. I kid you not. So, you know, we got around with what we had. That's what I'm trying to say. So there is that. Now, when it comes to the insert, this is all around Teferi. So we have the ad side of the insert that you have Heihachi Mishima. There say, fetch info on every card from the history of Magic. Browse all the cards from Core Set 2021 and beyond on gather.wizards.com. So this is from the era that we no longer have the booklet. The booklet will come back at some point as we keep going back on this series. And we actually have the life and times of Teferi, a chronology. This is kind of interesting. This is the type of thing that is cool because we get to know more about the actual lore of Magic. And, you know, even if you know, internet in 2021 was pretty mainstream, but they still you have here like a little pamphlet and you can just read about it. It was born in Yamura in Dominaria, expelled from Urza's Tolarian Academy. Oh my god, then he went to Tolarian Community College. Spark ignited and became a planeswalker. He phased Shiv and Salfir out of existence to avoid the Phyrexian War, which then they come back on March of the Machine. So, you know, at least that part of the writing makes sense, I guess. Sacrificed his planeswalker Spark to restore Shiv, but sadly not Salfir. I guess it's Salfir that you say. Some people say it's Jalfir, but I don't know. Assumed a new identity and started a family, regained his Spark, and joined the Gatewatch, and battled Bolas on Ravnica in the War of the Spark. What does the future hold for Teferi? Only time will tell. MTGstory.com, which is something that's kind of lost to time. And at over 1,200 years old, Teferi has seen a thing or two. Here's a brief look at the history of one of the newest members of the Gatewatch, because this is when the Gatewatch kind of got renewed a little bit. So, you know, in Magic the Gathering's terms, basically he's a new Avenger. That's what they're trying to say. The box, remember this box? This box, it was what it was, but I always love this freaking thing. You can just put your dice in here, some cards, you know, it was just more Magic the Gathering stuff. You know, when you're younger and you get one of these like once a year, all this stuff really gets ingrained into you. I always love this. And now, La Piece de la Résistance, we have the actual bundle box. So it's kind of, you know, sober in its design. It's one of the few sets that I allow to not have a lot and just to say Magic the Gathering because, well, it's a core set. What do you expect, right? So the Planeswalker symbol here, or the Magic the Gathering symbol, and not much else. I actually like it a lot. It's very sober, very clean, and it just, you know, you're here because you're here. And the core sets kind of had these as well. They always had these, like even if it was a real core set or a M14 or whatever name they put to this thing, these sets were always the plain ones, Planeswalker, like the normal ones, the sober ones. Because then for the crazy stuff like Ikoria, Innistrad, you had the expansions, which were basically like flavor Magic. But the normal universe of Magic, which a lot of times just means Dominaria, it was the core set, right? So I love this. The only thing that I don't love about this, and I love it even to this day, I think the design is good to this day, it stands on its own, it's great. The only thing that I don't like is that it doesn't say core or 21 anywhere. Nowadays it will put it here, or it will have some symbol here. Normally it will have the Planeswalker symbol here in the flavor of the expansion. And why is that a problem? Because this is, even though this is one of my favorite bundle boxes because it's so sober, so magic, so clean, it's one of the worst in terms of organization because, I don't know, if you store them like me, like this, on a shelf, what is this? It doesn't even have like colors or a theme that you can be like, oh, I guess this is Theros, because nowadays they have the symbol and you can guess by the symbol. Some of them have the name of the set, but when it's like the color is like, okay. And some of them have the name of the set on top, so you could, if you store them vertically, you could see, but in this case you just see Magic the Gathering. This is kind of a moot point because, well, I mean, it's a core set, so obviously it's Magic, but they could have like a 21 somewhere or something, or at least Teferi, right? It's like, it's so much the Teferi set, and there is no Teferi in the box whatsoever, but I like it that way. So we open the box, even the cardboard on the bottom is black, nowadays it's brown, and smells like cardboard from 2021. So, and we have the die, which we're gonna check in a second. The infallible, always present reference cards for your reference. Never leave your house without them. The boosterinos. Remember when boosters had different art? Well, here we are. And they only had 3 planeswalkers on it. Well, that's a shame. They could go like for 5, but okay. So 10, 15 card booster packs for core 2021. And, you know, the box with the inner box. This thing is no longer with us. It's a shame, but I always loved it. It gave you like so much extra ways of organizing your stuff. So we put this here, we move the box to the side, and we're going to open the boosters at the end. But before we do that, we're going to check the die. The thing that for a lot of people, this is all what bundles are about. This is a very blue die that says M21. In kind of gray, kind of mute colors there. If you see the box, I'm guessing they got better with pictures as time went along, because I don't know if they're trying to convey that this thing glows in the dark. It doesn't seem to be the case. But trust me, it's not my camera. It looks like a, you know, like a 3D object that it was made on Blender or something. And this is blue. It's like what you get and what you see and what you get from AliExpress or something. I don't know. The thing is that I wasn't expecting like a glow in the dark, because normally when it's glow in the dark, they say it is, and it doesn't seem to be the case. But something more greenish, I guess. And this is very bluish, so the image is kind of misleading. Again, maybe it's mine. A lot of times, this has happened with other bundles. A lot of times, some of the older dies, even though they are only like 5 years old or 6 years old, they degrade or change colors or whatever. So, but maybe it's just mine, but actually this color, this design makes more sense than the one on the box, because this is kind of Teferi's colors. So this makes actual more sense. This is Teferi, this is the die. It makes sense. Contrary to whatever the hell this was supposed to be, but it looked cool on the box, so maybe it was like a mystery design kind of illustration. But yeah, the numbers I am not the biggest fan of. They are like, well, I'm trying to get a different light into them, but this is basically gray or a very light brown. It's not the best for readability. Like if you throw it here, can you see the number easily? It's not because of the zoom, it's because the contrast is not that great, but it makes sense within the colors that they're working in. So, you know, not one of my favorites, and it's sadly because of the color of the font, the numbers, right? Because the color of the actual die, the pattern, is pretty cool. And, you know, to a degree, it does kind of scream Teferi, I will say. So that's good. Even if I give like more direct light so you can see this, see, like it's more of a, I don't know, it's more of a, yeah, it's like brownish silver. So, you know, nothing too crazy, I will say. But I digress. So that was the die. Now, let's go for the thing that everyone knows to expect in the bundle, which is the lands and the promo. The reason why I opened this is because if you're like me and you played during these times, the lands are actually more impactful to your memory than a lot of the cards, because you may change your deck a lot, but the lands, you will see the same lands time and time again, because they were like the lands that people will have and the lands they will give you from, So we have Pack Leader. This is the promo for 1 and 1 white. Is a creature dog, is a 2/2 and says other dogs you control get +1/+1. Whenever Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn to dogs you control. And the flavor text, that we no longer get that much of, says he will be your loyal companion and his pack your protectors. All he asks for is a full belly, a spot by the fire, and all the love in your heart. Which is lovely and weird to be a card in this set. And then the cards from the core set 2021, which are weirdly lovely, as you can see. Some of the foils in here look so wild that they look fake, to be honest. This looks like the typical. These are like the special foil cards. Then the rest is normal foil. But these ones in particular look like the foil cards that you go to when you go to like a proxy site or something, because it's like too much, right? But they do look very cool. Not only the art of the lands, like from Jonas de Rio or Jonas de Ro, not de Rio, Jonas de Ro. All of them are from him, actually. Like very nice art on the lands and the design of the cards as well. They look very plasticky too because of the foil treatment that they have. And this is interesting. Nowadays, including these 5 cards in here, which look weird and cool, will be something that Wizards will be very happy to brag about in the box. And yet they didn't, which is interesting. The same as with the die not being correct. So, times change, I guess. And then you get some of the normal lands. Some of the normal lands for the set, for M21. I'm sure that you saw a lot of this for a long time, because M21 was like the normal set. So whenever you got like free lands or something, you got this art. So for a lot of people, these are their de facto lands for the last 4 years or something. And maybe, yes, you added some flavor because of the expansions, but if you got free lands from an LGS or something, likely it was these lands. Then we get the same special lands, but in non-foil, which they look pretty cool and less plasticky, but ironically, they look even more fake. Because these look like, you know what this looks like? When there's another game release that is kind of Magic, but not really, and they like over-design, it looks like it. So, and then the same lands, but not in foil. So, very nice. Very nice, yes. And yes, they are kind of curled a little bit already. That's how we roll in the year, baby. So we're gonna put this in here. I'm gonna put Pack Leader as the Pack Leader, the first white card, and now we're gonna open the 10 boosters and see what was life like in 2021. That was kind of a too strong of an opening, but okay. Friday Night Magic. Let's see. I'm going to read all the cards so that you know, but I'm going to, and if you want to read one in particular, just pause it. My goal with a lot of these is for you to, if you're from this era, to get some of your memories back. Like, oh, I remember playing with that, I remember seeing that, I remember that pre-release. And because, this may not have been that long ago, but yeah. I know, we know. And M21 was an interesting one because this was during pandemic times. So a lot of people could not play Magic normally, right? A lot of people say that the pandemic was kind of the reason why the core sets died, because this one was like, I guess, and it kind of died there. But I think looking at how Magic went in the upcoming years, was always going to die to a degree, like the core sets, sadly, because it just doesn't sell as much. When you can just sell a story or a plane, basically a flavor, they realize that selling hats is better than just showing you Magic. And you can tell with Foundations. Foundations has sold, but not that good, right? So it is what it is. One of the special treatment, right? So for Liliana's Devotee, not foil or anything, whatsoever. The only thing that I don't like about this treatment is that the pips are harder to read, but it is what it is. And it creates a lot of confusion, like purple, black for black, and we got a Spore Web Weaver for 2 and 1 green. Is a 1/4 spider. It has reach, hexproof from blue, and whenever a Spore Web Weaver is dealt damage, you gain 1 life and you create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. It spins its web through the Undercity, strange growth sprouting in its wake. Better than any Spider-Man card. Then a mountain and a token. I was not counting with it being a token because it was an ad on the other side, but yes, Goblin Wizard. Lovely. It has prowess and is a 1/1 red. Not bad. Tokens, I don't know for you, but for me at least, tokens are kind of nostalgic as well. Mostly because depending on when in your life you started to play Magic the Gathering, a lot of like Magic or Pokemon or whatever, cards could be more or less accessible to you. So for example, tokens, during a long time, they were kind of a weird occurrence because you will only buy some boosters and you get some tokens. So tokens will be a rare thing to pull. So getting tokens was actually kind of valuable. Nowadays, if you have the means and you just buy booster boxes or you go to an LGS, they will just give you tokens because there's a lot of tokens. Nowadays, like tokens just come like mostly in every booster. So it's not like it's weird or anything. Ooh, Chandra's Magmut. Magmut, get it? Daybreak Charger, nice. Sanctum of Calm Waters. Legendary Enchantment Shrine, crazy. A lot of the design things in here, even though it was not that long ago, are like, this thing wouldn't fly. Chandra Spiraling, and yes, one thing that I always liked about the core sets is that they were always like very focused on the planeswalkers. So they really felt like the main characters of Magic the Gathering, which some people didn't like because Magic is kind of an ensemble thing with multiple planes and whatnot. But I kind of liked it, and I feel like it actually makes sense for Wizards to push their planeswalkers because that's how you build a franchise. If you recognize Chandra, you recognize Liliana, you recognize Teferi, Jace, right? So Garruk, I guess, like that's what makes you. Those are the characters that they can make a show about, or they can make a movie about, or figures, or whatever, right? Basri's Lieutenant for 3 and 1 white is a 3/4 human knight. Look at the pip on this special treatment. Man, they did experiment a lot. It's a creature human knight. It has vigilance, protection from multicolored. When Basri's Lieutenant enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever Basri's Lieutenant or another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Not bad. It's a shame that it's not legendary and you can't do anything crazy with it. You have Miscast as well, and Scoured Barrens. And an angel token. Not bad. But I do feel like nowadays it's kind of, well, who knows? I'm saying like, well, it's not a legendary creature, so you can't build around it. But who knows? Maybe one of these days they will change that. They keep trying to make commander not commander, so that will make sense at some point. Library Larcenist, Mind Rot. Some of these cards are just gorgeous, my friend. This thing is just great. Titanic Growth, another classic. Thrill of Possibility. A lot of these cards are just classics. They're just like, well, the core set of Magic, the basics of Magic. Fetid Imp, Prismite. For 2 is a mana rock, quite literally. For 2 is a 2/1 that you pay 2 and add 1 mana of any color. It's a bad mana rock, but I don't know if you can tell, but it feels like it's printed out of focus. It's weird. Sabertooth Mauler, Valorous Steed, Anointed Chorister, Carrion Grub, okay. Jeskai Elder, which makes sense. See, and you have like a little bit of every place in Magic. Cultivate, which is one of the classics. Conspicuous Snoop. For 2 red is a 2/2 Goblin Rogue. Play with the top card of the library revealed. You may cast Goblin spells from the top of the library, as long as the top card of the library is a Goblin card. Conspicuous Scoop has all activated abilities of that card. Okay. Great for a Goblin deck, not opt. Again, another card that feels like it will be OP if it was legendary. A basic land and a soldier token. There's also an ad for Jumpstart. For the first Jumpstart, the good one, we opened a box of that, I think, somewhere. You can tell, you can see that in the channel. Pride Mulking. Okay. Igneous Cur. A lot of dogs and cats and whatnot, which makes sense why like the pack leader will be here. Tome Anima. Rise Again. Drowsing Pteranodon. The defender, because it's not doing much. Dub. Okay. There's an aura. Rise, Knight of New Benalia. Mistral Singer. Worded Battlements. Shock, another great classic. 2 damage to any card. I just love how they, like, same card, but they just do different art. Sky Scanner. Hardfire Emulator. Quirion Dryad. Aven Gagglemaster. A crazy name. Bird Warrior. Barin, Tolarian Archmage. Somehow has the name of a dwarf from the Lord of the Rings, but okay. For 1 and 2 blue is a 2/2 human wizard. When Barin, Tolarian Archmage, enters the battlefield, return up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker to its owner's hand. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put into your hand from the battlefield this turn, draw a card. And the flavor text says, there is no age at which you stop learning, which is actually true, my friends. Knowledge doesn't occupy space. Land and a Griffin token. I love it how, so far, a lot of all the extra cards that we got were actually also tokens. I feel like later in some sets, as we saw, they will just make ad cards, and it's like, man, if you're already playing Magic, if you're going to waste cardboard and time, just give me tokens. And thankfully here they did that, at least so far. There is always like the Play Arena Online card that is just a waste of life. But I feel like nowadays they kind of got that right. It's like, okay, listen, it can be an ad on the back, but it can be a token. And that should be nice, cancel. That should be, like, that's the correct way of doing it, because otherwise, why printing it? Like, I mean, I'm already buying Magic. Like, if I made the extra step to buy a pack of Magic, you know, with Skeleton Archer. This thing is on the tutorial of Arena, if I recall correctly. Palladium Mirror, another weird rock. Pestilent Haze, Fierce Empath, and we got the Temple of Malady. Temple of Malady, but I think it's Malady. Temple of Malady enters the battlefield tab. When Temple of Malady enters, the battlefield scry 1. You get 1 black or 1 green. It's funny how this thing is already not that good. I mean, scrying is good, but, you know, enter stab. Nowadays, a rare level land will be like a shock land or something. Whenever, and a foiled Gloomsour. Okay. A nice looking plains, or, well, nice. I guess some people will hate it. And a cat. Quite literally a panther or something. And another guide card. Ooh, that's crazy. I mean, it's a core set, so they take that risk. Walking Corpse, Life Goes On, true. Crash Throw, Read the Tides, Masked Blackguard, Truffle Snout, Revitalize, Warded Battlements, Scorching Dragonfire, Secure the Scene, Traitorous Greed, Volcanic Geyser, Experimental Overload. A lot of multicolored cards in here, which makes sense. It's a core set, I guess. Teferi's Ageless Insight for 2 and 2 blue is a legendary enchantment. If you will draw a card, except the first one you draw on each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Fine, you know more than me, but do you have to be such a show-off about it? Chandran Alar to Teferi. Blossoming Sands, and a Saproling token. That is also a Find Stores Near You card. At least they try to make you play. And it's also interesting that here they have like that enforcement of like, well, there's always a land here, right? Crypt Lurker, Ranger's Guile, Hobblefiend, Opt, Gloom Sour, Radiant Fountain, Prismite again, Frost Breath, Anointed Chorister, Scorching Dragonfire, Sanctum of Stone Fangs. There is the whole cycle of legendary shrines, basically. Tolarian Kraken. It reviews accessories and rants all the time. Chandra Spiraling in the prettiest style, and Basri's Lieutenant again, which is not bad, but kind of sad whether we get repeat cards in a single bundle. A mountain and a zombie. There is also a please go find stores to play with, because if you don't play Magic, there is not much of a point to it, is it? A snare spinner, Goblin Wizardry, Library Larcenist, Mind Rot. I love the art on this one. Titanic Growth, Thrill of Possibility. I think that this booster is repeated. Garruk's Gorehorn. Remember Garruk? And remember, this card is basically a 4 and 1 green for a 7/3, and it just has flavor text. And the flavor text is Liliana. It certainly takes after its master, big and brutish, and you can smell it from a mile away. Makeshift Battalion, Defiant Strike, Bolt Hound, another dog, Warding of the Woods, Lorescale Coatl, and a Feline Sovereign for 2 and 1 green is a 2/3 cat. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have protection from dogs. Whenever one or more cats you control deal combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment the player controls. And it says, dogs beg, cats lay claim. Which is great. And a foil Alpine Watchdog, which is a very normal dog to have in a Magic card, but I love it. Okay, and a Plains and a Soldier token. We are 2 boosters left. So, second to last one. Rookie Mistake. Feels like a card from Avatar. Fetid Imp, Pride Malkin, Igneous Core, Tome Anima, Rise Again, Teferi's Protégé, which is great. And you can tell that cards that are related to Planeswalkers, they have this special treatment, and they have that mark behind it. It's funny because blue, again, it's not like fire, it's more like time in this context. So Revitalize, you gain 3 life and draw a card. It's okay. Turret Ogre, Forgotten Sentinel, Tavern Swindler, Epitaph Golem, Liliana's Devotee, and Double Vision. Double Vision for 3 and 2 red is an enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Your eyes aren't playing tricks on you. I am. Bloodfell Caves, and a Pirate token. This creature can block, creatures you control attack each combat if able. And it is a reference card. Now the last one with Liliana. Let's see what the past. I love that I say the past, like this was 1980s or something. Draws in Pteranodon, but it does feel like a long time ago. A lot of sets ago. Dub, Turn to Slag, Spinned, Megalodon, Blood Glutton, Rambunctious Mutt, Another doggy. Actually, this is the card from the insert. Emphatic words with powerful gestures. Clearly, this was playtime. Liliana Stewart, Gale Super, Revitalized, Tempered Veteran, Experimental Overlord again, Shipwreck Dowser, Glorious Anthem. For 1 and 2 white is an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. These Song of Angels are perceived not as words in the ears, but stirrings in the soul. Tormal Script in foil, which Graveyard Hate if I ever seen one. 4/0, tap, sacrifice it, and exile all cards from target's player graveyard. I'm going to put this in a commander deck. Land, shift Water Cliffs, and in the last booster we got the shitty card, which is an ad on both sides, because it is Arena, and of course it had to be like that. So that's kind of it. Now the pools are random, obviously, but the opinion, like, what's the take on this? So besides the nostalgic factor, and obviously I can't recommend you to buy this because, well, I mean, if you can find it, I guess, sure, do. But the take here is, well, at least you get 10 normal boosters. Yes, it's core boosters, and core sets always have this stigma to them that they don't have the crazy pull cards, you know what I mean? They don't have like the badass mythic cards. They do have great cards, but sadly, and this is the thing that even to this day is the thing, normally the crazy game-breaking cards are most of the times in expansions. They were core sets are reprints and all that, right? So this will never be like chase sets or anything like that, and it is what it is. So in terms of what you get, the die is kind of cool, weird, but cool. The box, I like it a lot. It's very sober, very magic, very core set, to be honest, even though I think it's missing blue or something because it doesn't scream Teferi at all. And the lands are kind of okay. But these ones certainly get my attention because they are very weird. They don't feel like magic, even though they are very magic. So overall, I think it's a very good core set. And, you know, to be the last one, it kind of sets some of the bases that you will see later on Foundations. Because Foundations, even though it's not really a core set, but technically it is, did some of the same tricks. It's basically a bunch of reprints and classic cards and cards to be just there on a standard, but the ways that they had to kind of get collectors in were with weird things. In this case, you had these special lands and special treatments, and in the case of Foundations, you had the collector boosters and whatnot for like special treatments of reprint cards. So that's kind of the most thing that you can do with a core set, for better or wrong. But I like this one very much, and obviously there's a lot of things that we don't have anymore, such as, well, boxes and boxes, but you know, the inner box, this one in particular. So still, it's good both for my nostalgia and for remembering that we no longer have that. And the insert is kind of cool. I wish we got more of these and more like focus on the main characters of Magic, and stuff like that. But hey, let me know down below what you think about the Core Set 2021 bundle, and if you have any fun memories of it. And I hope to see you next time on your favorite channel, which is this one, by the way, Packs and Recreation. High five to the fairy, and bye.